This is how I solve every single chess problem and how you can too. I've been using this method subconsciously for years without realizing it, and now have broken it down with 7 easy steps for you to solve any chess problem in your way. In this video, I'm first going to show you the method in which I solve chess problems with a chess problem alongside us, so we see examples of how I solve every single step, and then I'm going to put you to the test and we're going to solve a chess problem together side by side. You're going to go first and then I'm going to provide the key answer if I do well on them. So first I'm going to place a position with you guys that I have never seen in my life and of which the answer is not on the solution sheet. This is it. So now using the method, we are going to solve this chess problem. Number 1 in the method is looking for pre-existing conditions of the positions. So threats on us, what is the material, assess the overall position, and look at the direction to which we are gonna, place our pieces, solve this problem. So first, I'm gonna take a look at this position and see that all the white pieces, so our enemy pieces, are crumpled up. Again, we are playing with the black pieces here, and nothing is really striking or attacking any of our pieces. All our pieces are safe, so there's no defensive problem here. It looks like it's going to be an attacking problem. Also noticing that we have a lot of attacking elements in this position that are directed at the opposing king. This is also helpful to know that we might have an attacking tactic. Looking at the material, it is exactly equal in this position. The only thing I can think of that's different is that white has the bishop pair and black has a knight and a bishop, it doesn't really matter in this position. Black has a ton of space to compensate for that. That was step number 1, or as I like to call it, the step before you calculate anything, so we'll call it step 0. Now is step number 1, the main idea. What are the weaknesses in the white position or in the opposite position, and what are the weak squares that we want to penetrate on? After looking at the position, the main idea is clearly the weakness of this king kind of in the center and this undefended queen on c2. We also have a battery here that ranks up against this bishop and rook, which is also something to surveil. Now that we have a greater opinion on the weaknesses of our opponent and the great pieces that we have, the knight here that's really nice around the king, the 2 rooks here doubling on the e-file that are very, very tyrannical, and the mobility of these pieces to collaborate in the attack, these are all phenomenons that we can use for the second real step, which is the candidate moves. Now we're gonna brainstorm, and this is a quick fire brainstorm of any and every move you can think of. From there, we'll filter out 3 to 4 to 5 moves that we kind of like for the possible combination. So I'm gonna think of about 20 moves to think of right now in this position that I think are potential moves that could be this solution. They'll range from crazy to actually bright. Okay, so I didn't think of 20 moves, I thought of 10 very valuable moves, and from there I'm gonna filter down to my 3 or 4 favorite moves that I love. So we're gonna look at 3 possible candidate moves now. From these 3 moves, I'm gonna calculate fully possible variations in my mind to see if they're good or not. Starting with this one. Okay, I'm gonna move on to knight g3. I don't like knight g3 at all, finally. I'm gonna move on to knight takes f2. If it's not knight takes f2, I'll probably look at bishop g6, queen f5, or queen g6, which all threaten knight g3 all together. But I didn't like them because of bishop d3. So let's look at knight takes f2 for now. I love knight takes f2, and I think it's a solution. So that is step number 3. Find the move. And we have found the move, I believe, is knight takes f2. From here, once you've found the move, now you look at the main variations. Step number 4, look at the main variations. I'm gonna look at the possibilities of taking this exchange, so this is one variation. Variation number 2 is declining the exchange, let's say king here. And variation number 3, I'm gonna look for a rook move. So let's say rook here, since the rook is attacked when knight takes f2. And within move number 2 after this, my second move is bishop takes. I'm going to look at two variations. G takes f3 here and bishop takes f3 here. These are two more variations. So I'm going to look at all the main variations. And now step number 5, once you've found all the main variations, is find a resource that is uncommon, that will surprise you in a tournament game. Do your best for your opponent to find something super outrageous and super out of the blue. And finally, step number 7 is the full solution. And here is my full solution of this problem. In my opinion, I could be completely wrong. I've done this live on this YouTube video. First time I see this problem. So yeah, I think it's knight takes f2. What is the weakness that I'm threatening? I'm opening up the king and instilling the weakness of this diagonal here, as well as threatening to take out a defender of the d4 square and the h4 square, amplified by a weak king on f2. The main variation that attracted me to this is after king takes, bishop takes f3. If bishop takes f3, I have queen h4. Bishop takes f3 took out this knight defending the h4 square, and now queen h4 is a beautiful skewer with this king and rook. And after this king goes back, can even go to g1, it doesn't matter. Here we have rook takes e1 check, and after rook takes, we have rook takes, and here it would be checkmate. But let's say the king goes back, it's all the same, we just win a ton of material, and this would be checkmate as well. Now there are multiple variations to this problem, so let's look at them together. White can simply decline this by playing king g1, but this is not too good since knight takes f2 does threaten to win the exchange, which is even more points here after queen takes. I think we would just play bishop takes f3. The bishop can't take because we take on e1, so g takes, and now this king is absolutely exposed, and this is falling apart. We have like knight d4 here that is pressuring this times 3 and pretty much impossible to defend. Since this is threatening the rook, you have to move the rook or take this knight. Now, I looked at two variations with king takes knight, and these are it. You already saw bishop takes f3, removing the defender from h4, but what if g takes f3? And I looked for a long time at queen h4 check here, but I couldn't find something much because now the diagonal is opened, but the file isn't opened on e1. And so I cannot take this rook here, and much less take this bishop. I didn't find it was worth it. So I looked at check, king here, check, king here, and I kind of went to a dead end because this looked pretty much like a draw here. So instead, I said after g takes f3, it looks like the black pieces have a ton of time, and maybe knight d4 is worth it here. Knight d4 threatens this bishop threefold, and it helps that we're also attacking this queen, which makes this a fork. So, you know, if you move your queen, it's pretty much over. I'm going to take this bishop with check with another fork on king-queen, and once rook takes back, king-queen fork again, queen takes, knight takes, king takes, and this endgame is completely winning for the black pieces. And if you sack your rook against my knight, I have queen takes d4 check, the king would move here, and I found this position to be completely winning also for the black pieces on account that we just have a superior position because this king is so weak. Now this may be wrong. In fact, I think I'm kind of doubting it now. Maybe just queen h4 is the solution, but that is my thought process going into it. And finally, after king takes, bishop takes f3. There is bishop takes f3, and we saw this variation with queen h4. g3 is something some might forget, so we just take on g3, king takes, and rook takes, and rook takes c1 mate. Don't forget this. Leave nothing behind in your trace of thought because anything can surprise you in chess. Even something like g3 sometimes can work as a defense for the white pieces, so don't negligate anything. Right? Okay, and now for the final variation, the resource that the white pieces can find sometimes, and this can kind of trigger you for being very stressed. Here, the knight is threatening the rook, so I saw this resource, rook d5, attacking our bishop and forking our two pieces, which can create some anxiety. But once you look into this variation, I found bishop takes f3, which is really nice. It attacks this rook so that if you decide to take my knight, I can just take this rook, which means you have to take my bishop first, or at least deal with it first. If you take with the bishop, I have a free rook here on e1 because of my battery. And if you take this bishop with the pawn, I had knight takes h3, and this looks completely winning on account of this isolated king and queen h4 plus queen f2 coming in with checkmate. And so that is my full solution given the guide. Let's see how I did. So I just realized actually that the solutions are on the back of every page. And so here is our puzzle right here. I'm going to go to the solutions page, page 82, and look at this solution 82. Caruana against Anish Giri. Okay, so this is genuinely the solution read off of us by the book. So this is played by Anish Giri against Fabiano Caruana in 2011. And so Giri played knight takes f2, correct solution. Well done, well done. King takes f2 was played here, and then bishop takes f3. Very good so far. We have 2 moves right. If bishop takes f3, they're showing this. This wasn't played in the game, but they're showing this variation. Here I have queen h4, and this is no better, says the answer sheet. Then there is, oh, I actually should have looked at king takes f3, the type of move that can surprise you, but I think just knight d4 is completely winning. It's a fork here. But yes, I completely missed this in my full solution, which would deduct me points. But after g takes f3, I actually second guessed myself, and this is the correct answer, what I originally thought was good, because it's so forcing. After king f1, queen takes h3, check on the king, king f2, queen g3 check, and then king f1, reading off the answer sheet, of course. Here there is rook e5 that I missed, threatening rook h5 and rook h1. Now this can look very slow for an answer key, but this is very fast in this game because the white pieces are completely immobilized. You can't move this bishop because I'm going to take twice and mate. You can't really stop rook h5 with rook d5 or rook d7, and queen g6 thinks this doesn't work, right? Nothing works for the white pieces, which gives us all this time in this position to play rook h5 and rook h1. Though the answer key does give this variation, bishop takes f4, which you must have looked at if you looked at rook e5, queen takes f4, and now queen c4 to try to defend, right? And now rook e4, going on the spin here of this pawn that cannot take the rook. And so now queen b5 and queen g3 is absolutely GG's, because we are threatening rook h4 and rook h1, and if you take this rook, we have rook f8 check on the king. And if bishop here, I think we just have check, king here. Pardon me, I just said it wrong. If you take the rook here, I have rook f8, and after bishop takes, it's not queen takes, it's rook takes here, king here, and then this is checkmate. So for me, I would give this solution, my solution, an 8 out of 10, just because there was missing some spiciness off the g takes f3 variation. I should have looked at queen h4 a little deeper, even though I had seen it, which is already a good solution so far. So now it's your turn to rise up to the challenge and do this 7-step method with me. I already have done it off camera, and I made an answer sheet for it, so this is all centered around you. I will give you 5 to 10 seconds to pause the video to solve every method on your own, and then I'll give you the key solutions that I found myself, and then we'll look at the answer together. So this is the problem. It is black to play and win. Best of luck. So number 1, look at pre-existing conditions of this position, and if you can, write down in your brain, what is the material? What is being threatened onto us? Anything particular that you see of this position? So I'm going to give you 5 seconds. So in pre-existing conditions, I only noted that there are no major threats against us except on this bishop, right? So our bishop is threatened. Otherwise, there's nothing there more. We do have some back rank issues ourselves. Our king is susceptible to some back rank threats, but it's nothing much for now, so it's negligible. And I also said material is 100% equal, so there's no need to worry that we have to win a certain quota of material to be on top. Here it's equal. Whatever we win, we keep. Next is going to be to find the main idea. So do your best to try to find what's the weakness or the square that we're going to try to reach to beat the white pieces here. Giving you 5 seconds to pause. Take as much time as you need. So for our main idea, I noted without restraint that white has back rank issues, which means that if we get a piece that concretizes this position, it would be on the back rank doing checkmate on this king that has no heir to go up. And so I also noted that rook e1 check forces an outcome in the white pieces, which is bishop f1, defended by this queen, and this is the only thing holding the white position together. I also noted that the solution might have to do something with our bishop since it's attacked. So unless we have something that's incredibly forcing, we might have to move this bishop in this solution because it is attacked. So number 2 is going to be the candidate moves. Do a rapid fire brainstorm. Do not judge yourself on every and any move that you think about out of your brain. It could go up to 15, 20, 25. And from there, filter 3 or 4 moves that you think jumped out to you. I'll give you 5 seconds to pause. Here I noted some moves on my own. Rook e1 check was for sure the number 1. Knight h5, which attacks the queen. Knight g4, which gets into the position. Rook e8, which supports the battery. Rook e4, which attacks the queen. Rook e2. Literally all the rook moves were sensible until you looked at the bishop moves. Bishop e4, but that broke off our battery I didn't love. Bishop g6, and so on until you find the move in the position. So step number 3, find the move. I'll give you 5 seconds to pause and finally settle down on your final move in this position. Your final move should have been bishop d3, which is the solution. Now it is key to look at the main variations from this original position, because you could have this in a game and you can't just play a move and then think later. You think first and then move later. So from this position, think of the main variations that involve bishop d3, the solution. So here the beauty of the move bishop d3 is that it cuts off this bishop from defending and cuts off the defense of this rook onto this one on d6. And so if white takes here with the rook, we have rook e1 check, and now there's no bishop f1 here. It's queen f1 forced, and this is checkmate, right? So that's the idea of bishop d3. But there are 3 main variations that I noted from this move. Bishop takes d3 first, queen takes d3 because now there is no defense on this rook, and it's also observable that this bishop has no great discovered attacks on our queen. So let's say bishop takes h7 here. I really like rook e1 check, discovered attack on this queen here. And if the queen goes to f1, well, this is actually mate anyways, so this is pretty funny. The bishop and its discovered attacks cannot leave this f1 square because otherwise it will be checkmate, I just realized, so that's even funnier. Variation number 2 is any of the 2 rooks taking. So if rook takes, we have rook e1 check on the king, queen f1 and mate. And if rook 2 takes d3, we have rook e1 check, queen f1, and rook takes f1. And now for the find and anticipate the resource. Fire away. After bishop d3, what is a resource that you would never look at that white has in this position? I'll give you 5 seconds to pause. So the resource I looked at and loved the most was after bishop d3 for white, was literally just giving the exchange and living from there, obviously with a discovered attack on this diagonal because you don't want to let rook e1. And so this attacks the queen, and so the queen has to move, let's say queen e6. And from here, something like h3, and I evaluated in this position that what black has a clearly winning position, and so this is completely fine and winning. And so now for the final solution, you would bring this all together and you would say final answer, bishop d3, which is a novotny, meaning it disrupts the entire position and intercepts on 2 different fronts. So it intercepts these 2 rooks forming a battery, and it intercepts the correlation of this bishop and queen on f1. It's a double interception tactic. And so bishop d3 is the final solution with all the main variations that we came up with. This is what my answer sheet looked like. Pre-existing condition, main idea, candidate moves, find the move, main variations, find and anticipate resource, and then the full solution. You can apply this to every single tough chess problem there is. This becomes a little menial and simple if you practice it on, like, let's say a forced bait in 2. So on the forced bait in 2, it would be another guide or another method that I would give you. But I assure you, the more you practice solving problems with this method, especially on problems that you can't solve in the first 5 or 10 seconds, this is gonna improve your solving skills. But I hope you enjoyed this video to solve every tough problem that comes your way. I highly recommend taking like a screenshot of when I tell you the guide so that you can just have it in your pocket whenever. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like this video. This took a ton of time to make this video, and I'm sure I'm gonna take a lot of time editing it right now. So I hope you smash that like button. It's the first time I'm asking you to like a video. Please, please, please do. And yeah, have an amazing day. Thank you so much for watching.